Hey everybody, welcome to the 7th episode of the Biopark Zoo tour. So far we've seen some famous extinct animals, like the famous yet fabled saber-toothed cat and the dodo. Now we'll be starting our tour with the woolly mammoth, which is one, if not the most famous prehistoric mammals, possibly next or just as famous as the infamous T-Rex. So these guys have a number of adaptations to keep them warm in the ice ages where they live in what was now North America, Europe, and Asia. And these guys have a thick layer of shaggy fur up to 1 meter in length with a fine underwool, which they were named after, which keep them warm. And also, as you can see here, these guys have much smaller ears than their relatives today, the Asian elephants, which in fact in our extinct animal breeding program, we use Asian elephant DNA to clone these animals back to life. And it's like I said, these guys have much smaller ears than their ancestors, which helped with minimizing frostbite and heat loss. And they weren't the only woolly animals in their time. There was also the woolly rhino, a relative of the Sumatran rhino. And these guys have really long tusks. And contrary to popular belief, they were hardly mammoth in size. They're roughly about the same size as a modern African elephant, with the male's shoulder height being 9 to 11 feet tall, weighing around 6 tons. Their cousins, the steppe mammoth, were perhaps the largest one in the family, growing to 13 to 15 feet long. Oh, and their hair often molts in the summer to prevent them from overheating. At the zoo, we often give them a fine haircut to prevent that from happening. And they're very highly social animals. If an individual female was separated from the rest of the herd, they won't only suffer death solely for the winter's life, but also probably hunted by predators. Until recently, it was generally assumed that the last ones vanished from Europe and south of Siberia 10,000 BC. But new findings show that some were still present there about 1,700 BC. When the Ice Age retreated, their populations began to plummet dramatically. Their populations got smaller due to climate change, but it was being overhunted by early people that drove them to extinction. So anyways, it's time to feed them. Alright, so let's feed them some grass. In fact, these guys need a lot of vegetation to feed them. Sometimes they have to eat 180 to 200 kilograms of grass, which is twice a man's weight in food every single day. They seem to have a strong bond between members of the herd. Let's see their animation. Alright. That's enough of the woolly mammoth. Let's move on to the next animal on the tour. And that animal is the jaguar. The largest cat in the Americas. Let's see what he is. Oh, he's right over here. Let's take a closer look. Let's see. Now the jaguar is the largest cat in the Americas. And the spots in their coat are more defined and black in their heads and neck, becoming larger as on the side and back. Oh my god. I should have gotten the on, shouldn't I? But that was okay. So these guys are widely distributed, inhabiting New Mexico and southern Arizona, south to our northeastern Brazil and northern Argentina. Populations have been drastically reduced in some areas and even eliminated, including the US, El Salvador, and large parts of Mexico. They like thick, moist tropical lowland forests with plenty of cover. But they can be found in reed thickets, scrublands, coastal forests, thickets, and swamps. They're superb swimmers and are usually found living near water, rivers, slow-moving streams, watercourses, lagoons, and swamps. And besides, there are other cats who like the water too, like fishing cats and tigers. Besides, who says all cats are afraid of water? These guys certainly aren't. Let's go feed them right away. Let's see. So these guys are carnivores, and with their diet mostly consisting of medium-sized mammals, like deer, capybara, tapirs, and peccaries, which they silently stalk through the thick jungle. In the water, they can hunt fish, turtles, and even small caiman. They're aggressive, formidable hunters, and are believed to be over 80 different animal species. That's a lot. Let's see their animation. The word jaguar comes from a Native American word jaguar, meaning he who kills one leap. They have eyesight that are 6 times better than that of humans at night, and in darker conditions thanks to a layer of tissues at the back of their eyes that reflect light. He's up here, by the way. Now, there are some jaguars that are black with spots sometimes called panthers, but they're actually melanistic leopards. That means they're leopards that have a lot of pigment in them. Which, if you didn't know, melanin is a substance that determines your eye, hair, and skin color. And these guys wave their tails above water to attract fish, and they can dive into water to catch your prey. And the ones living in forests are smaller and darker and smaller than those in open areas. And unlike other felines, when they're eating their prey, they starve the neck and chest. Alright? That's enough of the leopard for now? That's enough of the jaguar for now. Besides, I'll show you guys the leopard later. But for now, this tour. Okay, just checking. I'll show you the leopard really quick. Hold on. He's right here. Let's go see the leopards before we get to the other animal. That was on the tour right now. So, anyways, here it is. It is lying over here. These middle-sized wildcats have slim and long bodies with short, sturdy legs and long tails, which help them keep balance when they're in trees. And their heads are broad and their skulls are large, having strong and powerful jaw muscles. And their eyebrows exhibit long hairs protecting their eyes as they move through dense vegetation. There are also long whiskers stretching from dark markings over the lip of the animal. The overall coloration markings of the coat greatly depends on the environment, with ones living on open grasslands typically exhibiting light yellow background fur. Meanwhile, the coats of those found in forests are usually darker and covered with more markings. The black rosettes covering their bodies are square-like population, South Africa, being circular those of East Africa. And they're distributed across huge areas, stretching from sub-Saharan Africa to West Asia and the Middle East, reaching South and Southeast Asia and Siberia. They're found in a wide variety of habitats, and are very adaptable and versatile, though they usually get preference areas covered with trees. They typically wouldn't live in woodlands, forests, and grasslands of animals. Less frequently, they occur in mountainous areas as well as shrublands and deserts. Anyways, it's time to go feed them. Oh. Let's go see the animation first before we feed them. Let's go and feed them right now. Alright. So leopards are carnivores, and the diet of these opportunistic feeders include a wide variety of animals, like jackals, antelopes, gazelles, monkeys, dukey, eland, impala, wildebeest, birds, rodents, hyraxes, hares, snakes, sheep, goats, and insects. They attain all required moisture from their food, so they can survive without drinking water for long periods of time. Alright, let's tell some fun facts about the leopard. These guys can occasionally be seen passing through antelope herds without disturbing them. This happens when the animal simply roams without looking for prey. In order to inform them that they're hunting, they usually flip their tails over the back, exposing the white underside. They're closely related to black panthers living in humid forests. As a matter of fact, the latter are leopards, but with recessive melanistic genes. They're considered to be roaring cats, just like their relatives, the lions and tigers. But they typically bark instead of roaring. When they're angry, they usually growl and spit, emitting a furious screaming roar. When they're satisfied, they tend to purr. Compared to humans, they have an incredibly developed sense of hearing. They're able to hear 5 times more sounds than humans. Markings covering their body are called rosettes, reminding roses better shape. Along with the tiger, lion, and jaguar, which we saw earlier in the tour, it's one of the 4 big cats, meanwhile being the smallest of them. For safety, they tend to store their kill in the trees, avoiding disturbance with lions and hyenas usually try to take away their kill. Throughout history, they play an important role in our work, mythology, and folklore in many countries of their habitat. Even now, they're used as a sport animal in most African countries, and are exceptionally good swimmers and excellent jumpers, able to leap up to 6 meters forward and 3 meters high. That's another leopard here. Let's see where we are on the map. Let's go back up here where we started so far, and move on to the other animals in the tour, The next animal up is the Bornean Orangutan. Here he is, right here. The Bornean orangutan is the world's largest mammal that lives in the trees, and is also one of the world's greatest apes. They have shaggy, long, dark red brown hair, which is known as mahogany. Their long arms are very useful reaching fruits and swinging from branch to branch, and their hands and feet are scoop-like and have powerful grips for grasping branches. The adult males occur in 2 forms, which are flanged or unflanged. The flanged males are larger and on both sides of their face, and they have fleshy phalanges on cheek pads. It is. As their name suggests, you'll find them on the island of Borneo in Southeast Asia, and they generally live in hilly and swampy tropical forests. Oh yeah, and in fact, the name orangutan means man of the forest, because they just look like shaggy men. Anyways, let's go feed them. So orangutans are frugivores, and that means they eat fruit. Anyways, these guys eat forest fruits, shoots, leaves, insects, sap, vines, birds' eggs, spider webs, fungi, flowers, bark, and sometimes nutrient-rich soils. Alright, now some fun facts about the orangutan. Borneo orangutans pluck fruit with their fingers and palm as they can't use their thumbs. They move slowly above the steamy forests. Being too heavy to jump, instead they swing the branches of trees back and forth, and when they get close enough, they grab the next one. And they're the world's largest tree-dwelling mammals. And on average, the females give birth only every 8 years, making them the slowest of all mammal species to breed. And eat more than 400 different kinds of food. And the main form of communication used by them is a long call, being called 1 to 2 minutes, by flying males only, which in the right condition can be heard several kilometers away. The primary purpose is to inform adult males of the presence of the caller, and during the mating season to call female orangutans. Well, that's enough of them for now. It's time to move on to the next animal. Maybe we'll do 2 more animals for the tour. Okay, guys? Alright, let's do 2 more animals. With the next animal being the black and white ruffed lemur. Alright. Here it is right here. Oh, here it goes. Let's stay right here, and he's a quick little bugger, isn't he? Anyways, these guys are an endangered species of rough lemur, 1 or 2 of which are endemic to the island of Madagascar. Despite having a larger range than their cousins, the red ruffed lemur, they have a much smaller population and spread out living in lower population densities and relatively isolated. Alright. Anyways, you'll find these little guys inhabiting the eastern rainforest of Madagascar. They occur at low to moderate altitudes in primary forests with tall and mature trees, and by preference deep inside continuous blocks of vegetation, although patchy forests are made use if necessary. Anyways, let's go feed them. Alright. So in the wild, these guys are have a highly frugivorous diet, with fruit making up 92% of their overall diet. Small percentages of leaves, nectar, seeds, and fungi make up that remainder. It's also influenced by the seasons. Certain plant parts and fruit only ripening or becoming available during certain times of the year. Let's tell some fun facts about the white rough lemur. These guys have the unique ability among pollinators to open the traveler tree's flowers. While they benefit by eating the nectar within the flowers, the tree benefits from the pollination, whereas when the pollen sticks to their faces, transferred to the next tree. Yeah, these guys, unfortunately, are critically endangered due to hunting and habitat loss fragmentation. It includes slash and burn agriculture and illegal logging and mining, as well as natural disasters like cyclones. Oh yeah, and these guys are the largest living lemurs alive today, as well as the largest pollinators, which pollinators are animals that feed on flowers and pass it on from one flower to another, like bats and hummingbirds and stuff like that. That's enough of the black and white lemur. On to our last animal of the tour. With our last being the Linnaeus's Two-Toed Sloth. Alright, let's go see the sloth right here, and let's go see where he is. Oh, there he is. Let's go follow him. Come on. Here he is, right here. So anyway, these guys are known as and it's thought to be the slowest mammal in the whole world. The coloration of their fur varies from gray-brown to beige, with characteristic greenish casts as a result of algae growing in their fur. The outer layer of the fur is long and bristly, while the under layer is made up of shorter, finer hairs. Unlike in other mammals, their coats grow from their stomach to the back. On their hind legs, they exhibit 3 toes, whereas 4 legs of the animal only have 2 webbed toes. They're very lightweight animals compared to other mammals of their size. This helps them collect leaves from long thin branches. And their range stretches through the Central American and North and South America, right in some parts of Brazil and Peru. The preferred habitat is high canopy of the tropical rainforest. The home range of each individual is using about 10 acres. It is not much, Let's go feed them. Hold on. So these guys are primarily herbivores. And their diet mainly consists of berries, leaves, small twigs, fruits, and other vegetation, complemented with small prey like insects. The typical manner of feeding is harvesting leaves with their lips. Let's see an animation. Their scientific name is Coelopus, which means lame from the Greek, referring to extreme slowness of this animal. As a matter of fact, they're the slowest animals in the world. Allergy growing in their fur is highly beneficial, serving as camouflage and helping them hide from predators. The structure of their fur enables this growth. In addition, they're likely to get nutrients either by licking algae or absorption through their skin. And the stomach consists of 4 parts. The digestion process is very slow and may take as long as 1 month to digest a meal of tough leaves. Hence, they get very little energy. There's only enough slowly moving around. On the ground, they usually move at a speed of 2 meters per minute. And the trees are a little bit faster, at a speed of 3 meters per minute. He is crawling for the treetops. Upside down. And they leave the trees only once a week, descending on the ground to defecate. They're accomplished swimmers, using breaststroke techniques like humans in order to swim. They drop themselves off tree branches into the river. They rarely drink any water, getting all the required moisture from juicy plants they consume. And finally, that's enough of the lineage's Twotoed Sloth. Thank you guys so much for joining our 7th episode of the Biopark Zoo tour. If you guys like this video, please make sure to hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Have an animal-tastic day. Bye!